Today on Dr. Phil. They claim their son terrorizes them.
Why the hell are you yelling at your mother? That's what I grew up with.
No, you never did.
Can John Taffer
He can use fear to manipulate you.
My father chased me around the house with a loaded gun.
help rescue this family?
These are bruises on you. And where'd they come from?
My son. Or was it you pushing me out of the house?
Well, he wouldn't be pushing you out of the house if you weren't there. Let's
do it.
Have a good show, everybody. Here we go.
This is a safe place to talk about hard things.
Stand by. We'll count you down.
I try to be an emotional compass and point you in the right direction.
5, 4.
I am not giving up on you.
Quite a week. I've had my fill of freeloading family members, moochers that just had it so good they had absolutely no reason to leave. Well, stick around, because at the end of the hour, I'm going to give you your must-do list to help your child launch and leave the nest for good. All right, here we go. I must admit, yesterday, I was absolutely exhausted after meeting parents Jim and Karen and their 31-year-old son, Kyle. I mean, they could not bulldoze this grown man out of their house. They even moved states. And then when that didn't work, they checked themselves into a hotel just to get away from their son, who they say is a violent mooch. Here's what's happened so far.
Since Kyle graduated from high school, we have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars due to the fact that we pay for everything.
Kyle wants you walking around money, but he doesn't want to work. If you give him money, it's like driving down the highway and throw your money out the window. You're not going to see it again.
We've tried so many attempts to get him to move out. We've tried to evict him, physically lock him out of the house, but it never helps. We just cannot get rid of him.
I'm puzzled. He's living with you guys for 31 years.
Yes,
And he expects you to wait on him hand and foot, right?
correct.
His car, his gas, his food.
It's a good deal if you can get it, I suppose.
We pay for everything.
Why?
Don't know.
You and I are both lost. We don't know why you're doing this.
Because he's my son.
At what point is enough and too much too much?
That's why we're here. We need your advice. Kyle is verbally and physically abusive. One night, Kyle got mad and he started choking me.
He attacked me and he beat on me with his fist.
This is the hammer that Kyle used to threaten me. And he said, please, when you're going to sleep at night, sleep with one eye open, because you don't know what can happen.
This is the alarm system. The reason we put this in, to protect me and my wife from my son.
He hopes you die. He steals your stuff and sells it. He calls you names. He threatens you with a hammer. You put him in jail and then bail him out. What's your career?
I'm a retired policeman.
You have to help me understand what it is that's driving you to continue to do this.
I think it's hoping that he will learn to be productive, learn to get a job and hold the job.
And what are you doing to teach that?
Probably nothing.
My parents are basically undermining my life. Whenever my parents loan me money, they expect to be paid interest. While I was locked up, my father sold my vehicle. My parents act like I'm some sort of psychopath. My mother made up a story that I was going to attack her with a hammer. No, I would never attack my mom with a hammer. My parents have cried wolf to the cops so many times that they actually feel bad for me. I want to be treated like a member of the family, not like an outsider.
Why are you living there to begin with? You're 31 years old.
I didn't have any other place to go. Where am I supposed to go?
You're supposed to create a place to go. You're intelligent. You've got a degree.
I helped create this situation, but they're not making it any easier for me to get out.
You gave us a list of reasons that they are to blame for your unsuccessful life. Not helping me get on my feet, keep doing things to make my life fall apart, refuse to co-sign for a car, want to charge me gas money, made it hard to go back to my career in nursing. We talked to you for an hour and a half. You gave me 26 reasons that they own your problems in life. You said they treat me like an unwanted guest. Do you know why?
Because of the past, yeah.
Because you are an unwanted guest.
While we were waiting for our current home to be built, we were living in an apartment. One time, Kyle picked up a cinder block, threw it through the front window so that he could get into the apartment. While we were out, Kyle decided to sell my washer and dryer so that he would have cash to live on.
Don't you have a key to your house?
No.
So you broke into your house.
I let myself into my house, yes.
Did you sell the washer and dryer and stuff out of the apartment? That's not an essay question.
No.
Was that your washer and dryer?
No, it wasn't my washer and dryer.
What gives you the right to sell it?
I don't have one.
Let me ask you one question. Your paycheck was for close to $1,000 a week and a half ago. You're broke. Where did the money go?
It's none of your business.
It is when he's calling us up to borrow money.
This is... Oh, my God, you people. Look, I'm going to bring in some reinforcements here. I need help. Now, I've been talking to these folks, and I've been doing this a long time. And, everybody creates their own normal. And the normal that these folks have generated, and you listen to the text exchange between the two of them, I mean, it's kind of like, oh, my God, I hate you. I'm going to ruin your life. Give me a Coke. I'm on the way. Okay. It's like, what? It's like, I thought somebody had hacked into the conversation. This is their normal. They just do this. I don't understand. Kyle spends more time blaming his parents for his problems and trying to get his life together. His parents, the fact that he lives there, but they won't move him out. They put him in jail, then bail him out. This is normal for you guys.
All we did was ask him to pay us back because he was supposed to pay us $312 that he owed us. I cashed a check for him. The check bounced.
Let's go back to this. My boss gave me a check, and I gave it to him to cash, and he held on to it for over a month.
Yeah.
So the check was no longer good.
No, that's
because
wrong, Kyle.
the guy canceled the check and paid me my full paycheck because he transferred everything to account. So when the agreement was out of my tax return, he would get the $212 back. Comes to find out because he did my 2015 tax returns and messed up because
you're a grown man. Why is your father doing your tax return?
Because of when I step on why there's no K2s and why I need the K2s for 2015.
I did tax returns for you because you asked me to.
Why?
Oh my God.
What are the K2s for?
Look, I'm going to bring in some reinforcements here. I want to add someone to the conversation and maybe has a fresh perspective. And he really has spent his life focusing on people that make excuses. This is a really good friend of mine, a good personal friend of mine as well. John Taffer is recognized internationally as an award-winning bar and nightclub consultant of all things, and a concept developer with over 3 decades of hands-on experience as a successful entrepreneur. This is a guy that makes things happen. He makes business happen. He makes changes happen. He's best known for his no-nonsense, tell-it-like-it-is style on the popular show Bar Rescue. Now, John uses his tough love approach in his book aimed at kicking to the curb the excuses that keep people from having the life they really want. It's called Don't Blank Yourself, Crush the Excuses That Are Holding You Back, which is available everywhere books are sold. Please give a warm welcome to my good friend, John Taffer.
John, how are you?
I'm feeling for you, Phil.
Yeah. You and I have talked about this situation. These are very nice people. They really are. These are well-intended parents. This is a well-intended young man. I asked John to be here today. We've been working on this. I called John, and we were going to have him involved in another story that we were doing. I asked him to switch and be involved in this story. He has written a book. It's called Don't Blank Yourself. Crush the Excuses That Are Holding You Back, which is available. I have spent some time reading this book. I've written 9 books myself, and you often say there's not much new under the sun, but I have to tell you, John, well done, my friend. Well done on this book. Thank you. I was in bed last night at 1:15 reading to Robin out of this book, and she was not very happy about that. And until she actually started listening, then she sat up and got over there and started paying attention. And you were talking about excuses being rationalizations. What do you mean by that?
Well, excuses, to me, are the common denominator of failure because they paralyze us. When we give an excuse, it really rationalizes a mistake. When you give an excuse, either it's because you didn't do something you should have, you did something you shouldn't have, or you made a bad choice, or you would never use the excuse in the first place, Phil. So every excuse is, in essence, you wrapping your arm around acknowledging your own mistake and living with it. You think that your father woke up that day and said to himself, I want to steal this money from my son.
When I get paid, he gets paid.
And later, tell me about these pictures here and where'd they come from?
My son. Or was it you pushing me out of the house?
He wouldn't be pushing you out of the house if you weren't there.
When the alarm said I'm confined to my bedroom, so I have freedom to move around the house, my mother and father are so controlling that I'm not even allowed to stay home by myself. Whenever they leave the house, I have to leave the house as well. If I don't follow their instruction and go to my room or leave the house, they call the cops. It is a never-ending cycle.
Now, joining us is John Taffer. He's the host of Bar Rescue, who has written a book for anyone who's allowing their excuses to ruin their life. It's called Don't Blank Yourself, Crush the Excuses That Are Holding You Back. Now, you're hearing a lot of excuses here, right?
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Now, you say there are 6 major excuses. They are fear, time, knowledge, circumstance, ego, and scarcity. And they're hitting 6 for 6 here. What do you hear coming from this young man here? Where does he fit?
Well, you know you're a very bright man, right?
Yes, sir.
I think knowledge is your enemy because you think you know more than everyone else. And if you know more than everyone else, why do you go to your father for advice on everything?
Uncertainty.
Because when he went to advice with you for your taxes, now he has a reason to scream at you because you caused his problem. So you're so smart that you use your knowledge to intimidate your family. He acts intelligent, doesn't he?
Yes, he does.
And then he acts stupid when he wants to, doesn't he?
Oh, big time.
Are you stupid?
No.
You're an intelligent man. Are you capable of doing your own taxes?
Yes.
Why did you go to him?
Prior to this year filing my taxes, my father always took care of my taxes because of things that were needed from other companies.
Did he do well other years with your taxes?
I was lied to about my return amount, yeah.
So you felt you were lied to in previous taxes, but you went to him another time after that?
Up until this year, I always thought I always got back a couple $100s. I didn't know I got back thousands.
And you think that your father woke up that day and said to himself, I want to steal this money from my son. Do you believe that?
Honestly, it seems like when I get paid, he gets paid.
Do you believe that he wakes up to take your money?
No, I think that he just...
Yes or no?
Yes and no, because I think that he...
Yes, or do you believe that your father wakes up and purposely tries to steal your money?
No.
So why would you accuse him of that?
I think that I accuse him of that because of the way he comes across.
You accuse him of that because it serves your purpose.
I do.
Doesn't it? No.
Here's the bottom line. Kyle, when I was talking to John about this, we agreed on one thing, and John said it very clearly. He said, Kyle has no reason to change because it's everyone else's fault. And I said, necessity is the mother of invention. You have no reason to change because everything I say to you, you say yes, but. And but means forget what I just said. I'm now going to tell you what I really think. And you say, yes, that's true. That happened. But my parents did this, my parents did that, this happened, that happened, all this, but. Everything after but is what you really believe. And if it's everybody else's fault, you never have a reason to change. That's your point, correct?
Correct. If you wake up in the morning and blame your failure on them, you have no reason to change. But if you wake up tomorrow morning and left that house and pursued something, could you change your life? Could you? Are you smart enough? Are you healthy enough?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Do you have the energy?
Yep.
Can you add? Can you subtract?
Sometimes.
Can you read?
Yes.
You became a nurse. Mm-hmm. He's bright.
Very bright.
If you woke up tomorrow morning and chose to do that, could you?
Yes, sir.
So, fear. What are you scared of now that he said that?
That he's going to stay home and he's not going to do it.
So you're going to let him stay home and then let him not do it?
No, he's done in the house. He's not getting back in.
What are you scared of?
Right now, him hurting my wife. Me dying and leaving her with him.
So if that's your greatest fear, why do you allow him to make you fear other things relating to him leaving? Because you fear him leaving too, don't you?
Kind of, because I don't think he's going to make it.
He just said he could.
We have to take a break. Next, Kyle has a list of excuses. Will he embrace them? They're a mile long. They would fill the book. The big question is he willing to stop pointing the finger and start turning his life around? Are his parents willing to start embracing the excuses they're making for him? More with John Taffer and his family when we come back.
You lied to them to create fear because it serves you well.
Why aren't we talking what happened prior to those texts? For every action, there is a reaction.
You lied to create fear.
The first chapter of John's book is embrace the excuses. If you don't recognize that these are not just thinking, they're not just explanations, they're actually excuses. Excusing yourself from being accountable, excusing yourself from stepping up and doing what it takes to be a change agent in your own life. What John's saying here is embrace the excuses. You have to say, this is an excuse. I'm giving myself an excuse to not change. That's the number one chapter in here, embrace the excuses. And none of the three of you are doing that. That's why I said, well done. Because John starts out saying, number one, if you don't acknowledge excuse, you are wasting your time. Right now, we're focused on this family. And I asked John to switch over and let us use his book in this show. What do you hear John saying about you leaning on excuses instead of taking action in your life?
Stop making them and start, taking action from them.
Let me ask you this question, and God forbid this hypothetical, and seriously, God forbid this hypothetical. If tomorrow, God forbid, your parents were just gone, they were just gone, they just Scotty beamed them up or they fell off the earth, they just weren't here, what would you do?
I don't know. Probably, I guess, reach out to one of my uncles up in Chicago. I guess they have all their last will. I mean, what else would I do?
Wow. Do you have an estate for him?
No.
So there's no inheritance. So there's no end game for you here. So when they are gone,
they're gone.
What do? You so accept circumstance, which is an important excuse that I find comes up all the time. You're accepting the circumstance of him attacking you. You're accepting the circumstance of him acting in this way. I think of those texts.
Well, that's excuse category number 4.
It is. But I think about the text you wrote. I'm getting in the car now. There was no car. Did you think there was a car when he texted that at the airport?
No.
Before the Coke line?
No.
So you knew he was lying to you?
Yes.
Why was he lying to you?
To intimidate us.
To intimidate you, because he knows that excuse number one is his weapon. He can use fear to manipulate you.
Have you ever?
And he does it even when it isn't real.
Have you?
It was a lie. There was no car. You were never going to get in a car. You lied to them to create fear because it serves you well.
Why aren't we talking what happened prior to those texts? For every action, there is a reaction.
You lied to create fear.
That's great.
If everybody in America, starting in Washington, D.C., does not read this book, then you're wrong. I've read it twice in the last week. You need to read it once this week.
You can't make your bed, clean your room, wash your kitchen.
No, I'm talking about the times he chased me around the house with a loaded gun.
Well, you know what I would do? I'd move. Closed captioning provided by...
We're rolling so deep in dysfunction. You're exactly right. It's on both sides of this coin. This family's so dysfunctional. So what's your point?
My point is, I've heard a lot about what I've been doing wrong, about my excuses.
Okay.
That's what I've learned to do. That's what I've learned to do from what their reactions, their actions.
Mm-hmm.
Like
What's your point?
Why aren't we talking? Why am I changing my excuses? Why can't we change their actions?
Hold on. What the hell difference does it make?
Why can't both parties change?
What difference does it make to you?
I'm just saying. Well, should a family threaten each other?
No, I'm saying, what difference does it make to you? You want to fix your life, right?
I want to fix my life and my family. I want to be able to have a relationship with my father.
If you fix your life, don't you think you'll fix the relationships around it?
No.
What would happen if Kyle moved out, had an apartment for 6 months, kept a job, proved responsibility? Would that change your relationship with him?
Oh, definitely. I'd be so proud of him. Would that be any... Then why are you still screaming at your wife for no reason at the hotel?
What does that have to do with what we just talked
What
about?
I'm saying is, actions have to... Their actions have to change, not just
So
me.
you're not going to go get a job
I'm
and
not
pursue
saying
your
that.
life because he said something you didn't like to her?
No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, why is it acceptable for him...
Who said it was?
To have those outbursts.
Who said it was?
But we're not talking about that. All I hear about is
I only got one mouth. I only can talk about one thing at one time. And let me tell you, the only person you control is you. You can't control anybody else. And
so my mother can hear that. When he screams at me for no reason when I talk to him, I should sit there and take that? Because that's his diabetes? Or because I can only control me, I should just worry about me?
So we have a 31-year-old man who is besides himself when his parents scream at him because you can't make your bed, clean your room, wash your kitchen.
No, I'm talking about the times he chased me around the house with a load. That's what needs to change.
so, well, you know what I would do? I'd move. But, okay, look. Okay, no, hold on. You opened this can, so let's eat the whole thing.
Okay.
So it's just offensive to your sensibilities that he's yelling at your mother. Then why the hell are you yelling at her?
Learn behavior.
It's okay for it's not okay for him, but it's okay for you.
That's what I grew up with.
No, you never did.
So that's their fault too then.
It's not their fault. I should know better. What I'm saying is
No, you do know better. It isn't that you should know better. You do know better. This isn't a mistake, Kyle. This is a choice. You chose to do that.
You got pictures? Yeah. Tell me about these pictures here. Where do these come from?
You have a pacemaker, right?
Yes.
And these are bruises on you.
Yes.
And where'd they come from?
My son.
This is your son attacking you.
Yes, because he broke up with his girlfriend. It was my fault.
Attacking me, or was it you pushing me out of the house and it was a brawl, a mutual?
No, you attacked me. You come to the front door and tackled me.
No.
Well, he wouldn't be pushing you out of the house if you weren't there. So where do Kyle and his parents go from here? I'm going to tell them what I think when we come back. I'm going to hear what John Taffer thinks when we come back. We'll be right back.
My mother's taking me to 7 mental hospitals trying to get me to lie to them and tell them I want to hurt myself.
On the way driving him to the state hospital, Kyle wanted to reach over and grab the steering wheel and kill the 3 of us in the car.
For the record, I'm not in danger to myself or them. I just want to live my life. I'm insane.
Closed captioning provided by...
My parents have tried to peg me as a danger to myself and them. They use my diagnosis of bipolar as their rationale for treating me the way they do. One time, my mother took me to 3 different mental hospitals one day and told me that if I didn't tell them I want to hurt myself and get committed, I wouldn't be allowed to come home.
Well, on the way driving him to the state hospital, Kyle kept telling us he was having dark thoughts. Kyle wanted to reach over and grab the steering wheel and kill the 3 of us in the car.
My mother is taking me to 7 mental hospitals trying to get me to lie to them and tell them I want to hurt myself. And each time she's trying to get me committed, they tell me I don't meet criteria.
He admitted he wanted to kill the 3 of us. He wanted to commit murder and suicide. Yet, this isn't criteria to be committed into a state mental hospital.
I'm sane. I even have a letter from to the mental hospitals where it says that I'm sane.
Every day he would come home from therapy with one of those adult color books, and he would want it on the refrigerator. I thought this was the most ridiculous thing ever.
My parents are constantly telling people I'm crazy. I'm tired of it.
Kyle needs to get his life under control and to stop blaming us for his messed up life.
Well, I'm back, and joining us is John Taffer, host of Bar Rescue. He has written a book that teaches people how to overcome the excuses that are keeping them from the lives that they want. Now, one of the things John talks about in the book is if you don't embrace the excuses, if you're in denial, then obviously you're not ever going to change it. Say a couple of things about that.
So, self-accountability. As long as you can blame your shortcomings on somebody else, you have no reason to change.
You know that's music to my ears, right?
Of course it is. So if you understand that excuses are poison, don't eat the poison. Don't let them come out of your mouth. Every time you begin to blame, stop yourself. Every time you begin to blame circumstance, you stop yourself. There are other kids that reach 21, 22 years old that move out of their house and do fine. You didn't. That's on you. There are abused children that move out. I sit on a board of a foster home where I see it. They grow up, they move out. You didn't. You cannot use the excuse of your parents for your failure. And he doesn't have a responsibility to change. You do. You have to grow up.
Let's talk about what this means. Let's talk about what this means. Look, I'm a pragmatist here. I grew up really poor, and when you grow up really poor, you're very results oriented. You know, it's like you can't go to the grocery store with intentions. I meant to get a job today. I meant to get paid today. You go to the grocery store, you either got money in your hand or an empty stomach. It's just, you grow up very results oriented. What could have happened did. Okay? This is not a Kyle problem. You seem to need to hear that to be validated in some way. And I want to say that in all sincerity and all honesty. This is a family problem. You're the squeaky wheel, and the squeaky wheel gets the attention because everybody pays attention to the squeaky wheel. This is a family problem. You didn't hear the first segment, but audience, tell him, did I ask them what the hell are you people thinking or not? I mean, I did.
You have enabled him, you have crippled him by not preparing him for the next level of life. And the dysfunction going back and forth in this family is really staggering.
Well, one person can solve it.
It certainly can, and we're getting there.
You're the one who can solve it by action.
Here's the thing. What could have happened did. That's water under the bridge. You know, the only way the past becomes your future is if you go through life looking over your shoulder. We can't do that. That's happened, that's over, that's behind us. So what do we do now?
We'd like him to understand that this doesn't mean I run out and buy him a car.
Rent's due Friday.
I ask you, what would happen if they were gone? They just weren't even on the face of the earth right now. Your answer was, call another family member. What?
I'm supposed to let somebody know, right?
Oh, God.
Carl, you have to depend upon yourself.
You know, yeah, call your uncle, tell him.
You got an extra bed?
Right, wrong, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. They will be gone. Sorry, but you know, we're all getting a little long in the tooth. The time's going to come where you are going to have to rely on yourself. It might as well be now. And all the problems and obstacles that you have, they just become a to-do list. You say, you know, I got problems with the nursing board. Right? That's a to-do list. You got legal problems. That's just on your to-do list. You just put things on a to-do list and come up with an action plan for those things. You two, you absolutely have to stop, unplug, and dissociate yourself from the pattern you've had of allowing him to be dependent on you to the point that he can't deal with the real world. Is it fair for you to enable him the way you have and then just all of a sudden change your phone number and go away? I mean, you have the right to do that, but it probably isn't fair to do that. So I'm going to suggest that you create some kind of a finite transition. If he has a place to live, great. If he needs a place to live, then agree to say, look, I'll set you up for 90 days. I'll pay for 90 days in a furnished place for you to live, or unfurnished, whatever. Do not sign a lease, at least not beyond 90 days. Do not co-sign for a car. Do not do that. Give him 90 days of food and shelter. And during that 90 days, he has an opportunity to make some choices and get some traction. And if he chooses to squander that, then you've met your responsibility. And if he doesn't embrace that, he's not going to embrace it if you did it for 180 or 360 days. Do 90 days. That gives him an opportunity to do it. During that 90 days, I am going to get you a life coach. I'm going to get you a life coach that is going to help you with your to-do list. And if that means coming up with a plan for the nursing board, coming up with a plan for the courts, coming up with getting a headhunter, coming up with a resume, coming up with whatever it takes to help you really get yourself back positioned in life. Somebody that will really help you, so you don't have to just sit there staring at the wall saying, what do I do first? Somebody that's a real life coach. I'm not just talking about somebody that declares themselves a life coach and they do yoga on the side, or they do baking on the side, or they paint cars on the side. Somebody that truly is trained as an action-oriented life coach and they're going to work with you in a very intensive way to get this done. Closed captioning provided by. So what you're going to do is you're not going to put him out on the curb where he's sitting in the rain. Whatever he's got in your home, fine. Make it available. Put it in a storage building, give him the key. But it's out of your house. He has said, he's made a record on national television that he no longer resides at your home. He said, that is not my residence. He said that. He's made a video record here on national television that is not his home. He says, I have a few things there. Well, you know, anybody can have a few things there. They'll be gone. As soon as you put them in a storage building, or if he tells you a place to send them over there and set him up with a reasonable place for 90 days. And at that point, he's on his own. My belief is you just don't do business with family. It just works better if you don't. So set him up for 90 days. We'll get a life coach, and that will give you a genuine running start with somebody that will help you in a meaningful way. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
Does that make sense to you?
Yes, sir.
Make sense to you?
Yes, it does.
Act on it. Act on it.
I would like him to understand that this doesn't mean I run out and buy him a car.
No.
I said, didn't I say you don't co-sign for a car? I said 90 days. You make sure he has shelter,
food,
from the rain,
place to live,
something to eat for 90 days.
That I can do.
Rent's due Friday.
You have a place?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, great. If he's got a place, cover it for 90 days.
I will.
Cover it for 90 days.
For 90 days.
All right?
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Then you're set.
Excuses are holding you back. But there's a lack of pride here. If you accomplish this, that pride will fuel you and move you forward. You heard your father say if you accomplish this, he would be proud of you. When was the last time he's looked at you and said he's proud of you?
I don't know.
If that happens and pride settles in, everything will start to change.
Well, it's been quite a week dealing with moochers, and I'm sure you will agree. And I want to leave you with some tools. Okay, I want to talk about 6 ways that you can deal with your mooching child. Now, first, think about what lesson you're teaching. I mean, really, just think about that. What lesson are you teaching when you're allowing them to get away with this? And number 2, you've got to stop enabling. You got to stop making it easy for them to get a free ride. What's going to happen when you're no longer around to do that and the rest of the world is like, I ain't your mother. You get up off your ass and get to work. And third, you need to learn how to say no and set boundaries. That's how you stop enabling. And you've got to give yourself permission to not feel guilty. If you're going to feel guilty about letting them sit around on the couch, letting them not work, letting them not clean their room, letting them use your credit card, letting them eat your food and burn up your fuel. That's what you need to feel guilty about, failing to prepare them for the world. Don't feel guilty about saying no. Necessity is the mother of invention. And next, you don't solve money problems with money. You're not going to buy your way out of this one. They're going to work their way out of this one. So bottom line, you just have to start requiring more. More from you as a parent, more from them as a child. We live in a meritocracy. You reward hard work. You don't pay people for nothing. And the sooner you learn that, the sooner they'll learn that, and the sooner you'll have one less moocher on your couch. If you want to keep up with all things Dr. Phil, then scan the flow code on the screen. This will link you to exclusive content you can't get anywhere else. We'll be discussing this on all my social platforms.